Yeah, thanks guys for being with us. You can see by my tricky background, I got no idea how they do it, but Nate does it. Okay, that's for all the recruiting Zoom stuff. So I'd like to be that talented. Yeah, I was pleased with the two guys that we've gotten in the spring. Uh, we wanted to get experience in the spring, and I think we did that. Obviously, Demencio Vaughn, when he first hit the transfer portal, was been a kind of a key guy for us. Obviously, we had a tie because he did spend 1 year in the state of Mississippi and played at Callaway. But he was just a guy that's done it his whole career. And he's just a big, talented, physical wing that shoots from a great percentage from three. You watch him, and he can really pass it. He fits in really kind of open motion play. And kind of our theme, obviously, was trying to get guys that have great motors, self-starters, and have good toughness. So we're really excited about Demencio. And then Robert Allen, obviously we were last in the league in block shots. He was third in the SoCon in block shots. So that was a need for us. He's gained a bunch of weight. He weighs about 225, 230. He's long, he's athletic. He shot underneath 30% from three, but I think that's something that can go up. And again, everybody you talk to about Robert, just like Demencio, everybody in the league, they just talk about how hard he plays, what great motor he has, every day in practice, how he comes to play. And so I think those two guys will add great value to us.
All right, Neil, you want to go with the first question?
Yeah. Are you, Kermit, do you kind of anticipate being done with additions to this in this signing period, or is there a chance that you add one or more?
Yeah, we signed Marcus Niblack, who's a guard out of Florida, yesterday, and Marcus still has some academic work to do. We think he's one of the very best guards in Florida. Some people think he may have been the best senior guard in Florida, but he's still working through some academics, and we knew that up front, and so he's working really hard with that. I don't know if we're ever done, Neil. I think that, obviously, I think the new norm in college basketball is going to be changing rosters, evolving rosters. And so I think that you have to be recruiting all the time. And I think we'll definitely see that in the next 2 or 3 years when this one-time transfer rule passes. It's going to pass eventually, whether it's going to take place, in the next month or next year. We don't know right now. It seems like it's leaning more favorably in the last 3 to 4 weeks that it may come right into play this summer. And so we'll find that out by the vote. But yeah, we're still actively recruiting.
Joe, go ahead.
All right, how you doing, Coach? Joe Cook from WAPT down in Jackson.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Coach, my question is about Demencio. During that process, man, just how excited were you to not only get that caliber of a player, but a guy that, is from the Jackson area and a guy that's from a program that you saw close in Callaway. They just won a state title at the Pavilion. Was that, a good factor, kind of like icing on the cake when it comes to getting Demencio?
Yeah, I think this, it's unique how he got to Callaway. He really had I guess he played against Malik Newman, or somehow they became friends, and they wanted to play together his senior year. He went to Callaway and played. They won a state championship. So in this new virtual recruiting, you get a kid from New York that would come to Ole Miss without taking a visit. That really helped us just because he was familiar. He's been on this campus before, I think, in some camps, and so that helped. But yeah, it's great. It's always good to have a guy that's won a state championship in Mississippi. And like I said, he's an older guy. He's another guy who played a year of prep school, and so he's just been in a lot of really good Division I games for a long time.
All right, Nate, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Kermit, do you have any idea how the backcourt kind of looks out? I know you talked up Jarkel a little bit last year, and I guess with him and Demencio and Devontae and all those guys, do you have an idea of how that'll look?
Well, I know one thing is that I think all really good teams throughout the country, competitive practice and competition at different spots sure helps, Nick. I think this, obviously Matthew Morrell is a part of this recruiting class and a huge part of the class. And so you start looking at, some competitive matchups, whether, you just have to go through the practices and whether, Devontae and Jarkel can sure play together like they did in practice this year. Matthew Morrell, we may even go to a look at times like Kansas almost played 4 perimeter guys around a big. And so I think, they will figure that out as we go through practices. But I do think that our depth in the backcourt with Austin Crowley and those guys, I think it's going to be much better when you add Dimencio.
Ben, go ahead.
Yeah, Kerm, when you added Robert Allen, you didn't have an open spot. If Marcus gets academically qualified, that's another one. Do you have an idea of who's going to be gone, even though publicly it hadn't been announced or anything?
No, we're just working through some different things right now. I think the guys are just concentrating on academics, Ben, and we've got about 3 weeks left for that. And so, like I said, I just think that I know, guys, you start counting numbers, and I get it, but I just think that the new norm in college basketball is fixing to be much different, and in football, than we've ever seen. And I think, some of those things may start, may not be in the next week, maybe the next 2 to 4 weeks. So that's why we're always just going to have a flexible roster. And you're going to see that in college basketball and college athletics.
Robert, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Robert Wilson.
Hey, Robert.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good deal. Hey, I was going to ask you, when you were at Middle and DeCenzio was at Callaway, did you know about him then? And then after that, did you recruit him then? And then also when he was at Ryder, kind of keep up with him?
When Case came, went to Callaway and watched him play as a senior when we were at Middle. And Wynn loved him. He came back and loved him. And I really can't remember if we had a guy commit before he's ready to make a decision. Wynn and I both really couldn't remember the circumstances, but we sure did. And not really, at Ryder, just when he became available, obviously. And then when he did, you start pulling up his synergy clips, and they're just really good. I mean, just the things that he can do. Tell you what he can do too, Robert, is he's a left-handed player that's got an unbelievable right hand. Passes great with his right, can finish around the goal with his right. He's just real skilled.
Thank you.
Parrish, go ahead.
Kermit, there's so much talk right now about starting college football and what that might look like. What's your confidence level that college basketball will start on time?
Yeah, Parrish, I know sometimes some coaches have taken licks for trying to be optimistic, and in the national media, we would all love to have college football start in the fall. I think we're just all waiting and then seeing. We had a head coaches meeting, an all-staff meeting with Keith yesterday, and then I got on the phone with Keith individually, and they don't know yet. They just don't know, and I think that's just something that the health experts, I know, Parrish, are going to have to make that decision. It's not going to be us. And then you've got so many evolving things. Okay, say if NFL football comes back, you got 30, 32 teams and owners, but they're not. I can't see them bringing college football and college basketball back unless the whole campus comes back, because we are student athletes, and so. But that may be something that they do. That's just my opinion. We're all hoping for the fall, but I can tell you this, Parrish, just at least in talking to the people that I've talked to, and it's all speculation, they're going to play college football. I really believe that. Now, when it starts, I don't know, and how that affects basketball, that really hasn't come up yet.
I know one of the things being floated right now has been maybe a college football season that begins in January or February. How do you think that would impact college basketball?
I just think we have to work through it. I think it's just one of those unique deals that, obviously, teams are going to have to make decisions. There'd be a lot smarter people than me that looked at all the different things, but say speculation that it happened, Parrish, I know we can figure things out. Maybe it's something that college basketball goes to maybe Sunday afternoon games instead of Saturday, or try to, on your campuses, try to juggle different schedules. So I know one thing, if that happened, college basketball could definitely exist when college football does, because it does for about a month anyway now, and so if that had to happen, I'm sure everybody could figure out scheduling aspects for college basketball, could play, right with college football.
Thanks.
All right, Courtney.
Hey, Coach. Courtney Robb from WCBI.
Hey, Courtney.
Coach, what have you been looking for identity-wise that you feel like your team was missing last season when you've been recruiting?
Yeah, we talked a lot about it. The one thing we do, Courtney, we've got to, besides like Breein, at times we're still pretty young, and pretty new as a team. And so you start looking about with college basketball, we've got a good group coming back. I mean, we've got 4 guys that started last year, with Devontae, KJ, Blake, and Hadeem. Luis was a starter before he got hurt. Austin Crowley had a lot of great minutes. Other guys played. So I do think we've got a good base. But I just thought that we needed toughness. We needed rim protection. We needed another really, really good shooter. Breein Tyree was such a terrific talent, but did we rely too much on Breein? We sure did. So, our teams need to get more balanced. And so those are the things that we looked for. And we really thought we got rim protection and toughness around the goal with Robert. And then with Dimencio, just a guy that can play multiple positions, but he almost shot 40% from 3. So to add a shooter like that was good value to us.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Ben?
Oh, yeah, Kermit, last week or so, you were kind of worried about the guys kind of being out all on their own, specifically Sammy in the Bahamas and Sean and all that kind of stuff. Have you gotten an idea of how those guys are doing, and what's kind of the process as far as keeping up with those guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. We Zoom meet with a team once a week, and then we have different academic coaches, Ben, that talk to their guys every single day. They're responsible for about 3 guys. And then so we Zoom meet on Monday, and when we do that, Drew, our academic guy who does all of our academics, visits. Riley Allen just kind of checks in. We've shipped them these really good bands that they can work out. You're trying to find things that you can do around your home, in a basement, in your driveway. And then we send them another jump rope, another little thing that Riley sent them. And so it's just all you can do. But one thing I've told our players, and I think some other guys maybe have said it, this is a great time to see exactly where players end up. College basketball is going to get back to normal. It will. And it'll get back to normal this year at some point. And where are you going to find yourself when it gets back to normal? Are you going to use the virus as a really big excuse and not do anything? And there's some cats out there that's working. They are. So you're going to see college basketball players, NBA players, separate themselves this year, because there's not a coach to sit right on top of you, to say, we're going to do this, we're going to lift weights on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We got 4-0 workouts. We're doing that. So it's going to be interesting to me to watch when our guys come back. It's going to be right there about what guys have really tried to do some things on their own and be creative. But our guys, knock on wood, Ben, have really done well. They've been, guys, really responsible academically. Do we have a few blips? We do every now and then, but for all the different things and Zoom tutors and virtual things that they've done, I'm proud of our players of where we are.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Megan.
Hey, Coach. Megan Rice from WREG in Memphis. Kind of a 2-part question for you. First of all, how do you think Breein will be remembered? And then also, what are you hearing about his chances to play professionally?
Yeah, I was texting with Breein, guess it was yesterday, day before. It's a tough thing for, number one, I'll ask this question first. Think about high school seniors, no proms, no different things. It's going to hurt their high school seniors in recruiting. And then you've got college seniors like Breein. Number one, he gets no workouts. Portsmouth was canceled, no chance to qualify for the Chicago pre-draft. That won't happen. The G League pre-draft. So there's not going to be a lot of individual workouts. How I think he's going to be remembered, obviously, he played on an NCAA tournament team as a junior, one of the most prolific scorers in Ole Miss history. You just go on that little 3-game homestand run was about as good as any player I've ever coached when we had 40 beat Mississippi State. So, and the biggest thing about Breein, and you guys have dealt with him, he's such an articulate guy. He's going to get his degree in May. So there's a lot of things. He was on the SAC committees, leadership committees in the Southeastern Conference. So Breein's going to be remembered. Obviously scoring a bunch of points and helping Ole Miss win games, but he's sure going to be remembered in a lot of other ways. we're getting good feedback from Breein. You know, I mean, I just think that he's going to be one of those guys that's probably in the talk like TD was last year in second round, maybe draft status. You know, he's going through Zoom meetings right now with different NBA clubs, and that's how they're doing it. And then, you know, so we'll just have to see. One thing about Breein, he's got a great body of work on film. I mean, he's played in one of the best leagues in college basketball and was first team all-league the last 2 years. So I just really deep down, I think Breein Tyree is going to play in the NBA. The avenue that happens for him, I don't know exactly happy, but I do think he'll play on an NBA team.
All right, Neil.
Yeah, kind of following up on Ben's question, Kermit, I've seen some NBA guys, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, guys like that say, hey, I don't even have a ball. I don't have a hoop. There's no place for me to go do basketball stuff. Are any of your guys in that boat where they literally have no real way during this lockdown to do basketball specific stuff?
Yes. I mean, Neil, no question about it. I mean, you know, everybody was kind of doing outdoor courts at one time. And now, you know, parks and recs have closed down outdoor courts. And so, I mean, really, if you got a hoop in your driveway, you know, some guys obviously, you know, maybe living in apartments or different things like that. So you're right. There's going to be some guys that don't have access to different basketball. If they wanted a basketball, we would send them one. Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
They have to get the equipment we send them. They all have to give it back when they come back. If they wanted a basketball in the driveway, we could send them one, you know. So I think those are the things that, you know, I can't imagine an NBA guy not getting a basketball somehow getting a basketball just to be able to do something in your den and down in a basement on a street somewhere, you know, that you can do it. That's what I'm saying is that, yep, there's some different guys it's going to be tougher than others. And then we talk to recruits, and there's some guys that are finding some different gyms. You know, there may be a different gym that they're just kind of in and kind of an off-track gym. But I just think, like we said, Neil, guys are going to have to be creative from a physical standpoint, just to sweat. You know, it may not be basketball skills, but just to sweat. And I think those like we saw TD. Y'all see that post TD had? He was like in his condo in Toronto on like a balcony. I mean, little bitty balcony. He's sweating his tail off, and he had a dumbbell and some apparatuses out there, and he's out like, I don't know, what looked like a high-rise apartment just working out. So I think everybody's just trying to get a sweat and be creative doing it.
All right, Courtney.
Coach, obviously we're all navigating very uncharted waters right now. For you as a coach, what has been the most challenging part of all of this that you haven't had to deal with before?
Well, it's really not being around our players that are on our roster right now. I never had any year-ending meetings with any of our guys, and I hate that. You know, I hate not being able, some of those young guys, to be able to work with them right now. And so I think all the coaches, I miss that more than anything, because I stayed in Nashville after we got beat by Georgia. I stayed in Nashville. I was going to fly to Nashville to go to the Maryland State Championships, and they got canceled. The team went back that morning, but I was going to. So when they got back, everybody dispersed with the news, and so that was probably the biggest thing. You know, to have season-ending meetings, talk about next year. They take a week off, and then you get them back in the weight room. And I'm telling you, it's a long, tough grind for everybody in college athletics. You almost get to re-recruit your guys again, you know, and get back and spend more time when it's not the pressure of games coming on you. So that's probably what I've missed the most.
Thank you.
All right, Mitch.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well. Quick question for you. What has been your routine during all this? We've seen coaches across the league grow facial hair and do a lot of different crazy things. What has been your routine through all of this?
You know what I'm trying to do? I've obviously exercise. You know, I think that's something that probably I don't do a very good job during the season. So I try to take about an hour and 20 minutes at different parts of the days to do that. My days, I was telling my wife Betty the other day, my days have gone by unbelievably fast. We've been extremely busy. You know, we'll get up and we'll probably have, right now I have maybe 3 recruiting Zoom meetings, and we do PowerPoint. Now we'd obviously be in if I could go out, I'd be doing a lot of 21 work at the schools and going out and visiting with parents in the 21 class. So we're doing a lot of 21 Zoom meetings. We'll have about 3 of those today, and about 3 of them yesterday. And then obviously just recruiting. And then, like our assistant coaches, we'll have a Zoom staff meeting every day, and sometimes twice a day about different things. We just kind of finished our schedule for next year with Thomas Gray. Did a great job with that. And so you're still doing normal things, except you're not traveling. But and it gives us more time. I've done more reading than I normally do. And I'm not a great reader. I need to do more of that. And I'll take maybe 30, 45 minutes to do that. And then what I've tried to do is spend more attention to basketball right now. I've given our assistant coaches different teams to scout and explore in college basketball. And at the end of May, we're all going to, hopefully we'll be able to come together then and talk about different things that they saw that maybe help packages that we try to run. And so I guess we all get to do more of that, and more kind of maybe helping successful things that we can do. And but my day goes by really, really quick. I tell you what else I try to do. I try to get up. I get up and I put work clothes on. I do that. You know why? I wasn't doing that for a while. I think if I stayed in those stretch pants for 2 months, I couldn't fit in nothing when I came back. So I said, I'm fixing shower every morning after I get through working out and putting on pants. Whereas if they don't fit right, then I won't eat as much.
All right, Nate, go ahead.
Coach, you talked a good bit about just like roster turnover and fluidity year to year and like re-recruiting guys. How much has that changed since the start of when you've been coaching, and how important is like just being an adaptable head coach to be able to survive in the industry for 20, 30 years?
Yeah, and as you start thinking about, and I tell my players this all the time. I mean, about when I first started recruiting, I forget who I was, and guys look at me like I'm crazy. That we were actually, we'd stop and call on payphones, and when I'd go watch a high school game in 1986, and I'm coming back from the game and I wanted to call a recruit, I stopped on the side at the gas station and called him, and you can only call his house. And our players, it just like blows their mind. Well, coach, he wasn't there. Well, if he wasn't there, then what do? You drive 20 more minutes, find another gas station. He can't call you back. Or you leave him your payphone number. If the mom said he's right down the street and get him, and you wait there. And so it's unbelievable how it's changed. I can't imagine navigating now in 85. You couldn't hardly do it. But with all of just what we're doing right now, and we're being able to Zoom recruits and do all the different things and give virtual tours on campuses, I'm telling you, it's connected pretty well. That you think about it, everybody's signing, everybody is kind of making decisions, and think about the money that we've saved in recruiting in all sports over the last month or two. We'd all be everywhere, football and basketball. So it has evolved a lot. The re-recruiting part, I think we've always done that. When we were at Middle Tennessee, knock on wood, and we just, our guys, I know they seem like they enjoyed our culture, and they seem like, we coach them direct and coach them hard, but hopefully that we've treated everybody fairly and with good spirit through the whole year. But I always say it, everybody says, well, these athletes and basketball players, they're changed and they're harder to coach these days. So I don't think that. I think they're more talented than young people have ever been. They're smarter than young people have ever been. God, they have so much more experience and been exposed to so many more different things as freshmen than we all were ever because of their experiences with AAU and different things that they have. But you know what? They were raised different because of what we're doing right now. Cell phones, and you know what? We'd all been different too. The one thing that I think lacks is just the communication part of it. That's probably the thing that we have the most difficult thing to adjust. But they're still great kids, great young men that we enjoy being around. And that part of it for me, really, it hasn't. But let me tell you this, if you don't adapt to this new phase in basketball of what's coming up, if you try to fight it, you're not going to last long in our business. I hate it, but that's just part of it. You're going to have to really get used to being very, very flexible and in every phase in athletics over the next 5 or 10 years.
All right, Ben.
Kermit, this is completely unrelated to all this stuff, but Grace Spencer is about to be discharged if he hasn't already been discharged. As far as the response from Ole Miss people and just his recovery and stuff, what are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Ben. I mean, it scared us to death. I mean, it was right when kind of everything got shut down, and Gray was in a one-car accident just right mid-morning coming back to Oxford to try to get some things out of his apartment. And life flighted to Tupelo. The medical team at Tupelo did an unbelievable job. And I'm telling you, it was touch and go. I mean, he's in critical care. And I tell you what, his dad, Bob, just sends us a message every single day. God, it's amazing. And he went to Jackson, and he was going to go to Shepherd's in Atlanta, but he went to Jackson. The physical therapy team there has done great. He's alert. He's getting all of his cognitive skills back. He's walking on his own. He's doing everything. He's going to make a full recovery. I'm not sure it is today. I may know if it's today or tomorrow that he does get discharged, real sure. But I know he's coming home, and that's just terrific.
Courtney?
Coach, the money that all of the Ole Miss coaches have come together to donate to Rebel Aid, what were the conversations like, if any, between all of you, and what's the importance of doing something like that and helping out not just the athletes but the everyday students on your campus during a time like now?
Yeah, the money I gave half of it to the student athletes and half of it just to the student body. And Keith kind of spearheaded it. And so I just think it's something that we all wanted to do. And because, obviously, I mean, just to tell you the truth, some of the scholarship checks that our guys get here, they send them back home when they're even in Oxford, and so those are things just for their everyday with their family. And so there's some hurting families out there, not just, families of student athletes, but families of just regular students at Ole Miss. So anything that we can possibly do. I do think this is that, Ole Miss really did a great job to get out in front of it, Courtney. I mean, they're sending, you've seen those $15 gift certificates every day. So providing one meal a day for all of our student athletes at home, whether it's a different organization that's giving Chick-fil-A, Papa John's, Subway, whatever it may be they have in their town. So that's something that's really good. And I think the NCAA is going to even be more flexible, some things that we can try to help families with legally just during these trying times. So as always, Ole Miss people step up to the plate, donate a generous amount. The athletic staff did a great job. And like I said, it's not just only going to help student athletes, it's going to help our regular students at Ole Miss.
Have you gotten any feedback from student athletes who have received that help, and how?
I haven't. No, it's good. I have not. I think it'll probably go back to Keith, and I think it's it's just we just kind of generated it last week, first of this week, and so. But that'll be great to know exactly some of the things that it was given for, how it helped. I mean, obviously, as coaches, we don't implement it. That'll be something that's done through compliance and Ole Miss, administration. So that'll be good. It'll be interesting to see just the stories that come back.
All right, thank you.
You have anything else? All right. Well, I thank everybody for joining. Coach, thanks for your time. And I think this was helpful. I think this was good for everybody to get together, and everybody stay safe and healthy.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate y'all participating today. Thank you.
Coach.
Thank you, Kermit.
Thank you, Kermit. Appreciate it.
Guys, stay well.
Thanks, Adam.